Well, we are back with Dr. David Gutterman, a clinical psychologist with LeBauer Behavioral Medicine, to discuss healthy communication tips for those during tough moments that can happen during the holiday, specifically Thanksgiving. So we'll start right here. What are some topics to stay away from that could trigger someone during the Thanksgiving holiday?
Well, of course, it's a little bit different for every family. Usually, there aren't that many surprises. Whether it's your family or relatives or close friends who are joining you, you probably have a pretty good general idea of what those topics are. So, I would pregame with your family members and talk about what those might be and which ones that you want to stay away from. I've heard it said that if you want to save money on your holiday gifts, bring up politics during Thanksgiving, and that's because so often those discussions go south. So one of the things you want to do, so if it can be a lively and invigorating discussion, that's great. But if it's something that's going to be emotional to the point where it could really detract from the spirit of the holiday, that's something you want to stay away from. It's something you want to ahead of time talk to people about not going there. And if someone chooses to bring it up anyway, you can take the liberties of saying, let's not have that discussion now. Why don't we table that for another time?
What strategies could we do ahead of time to help us prepare and avoid just stressful situations in general ahead of the holiday?
Well, I mean, again, I think everyone should be, mindful of really what this holiday is about and what you want it to be for yourself and for your family. This is not the time generally to resolve old family wounds and injuries and things like that. It's time to, be in touch with what you're grateful for and what's important to you, and it's about relationships. I think one of the things you can do also with your family ahead of time is talk about expectations. What are your expectations for the holiday and for this particular holiday? Um, One of the things that, even in very practical kinds of ways, because if you're going to your sister's home and she's hosting, and your expectation is you're going to watch football afternoon, and her expectation is you're going to be frying the turkey all afternoon, somebody's going to be disappointed. So you want to clear up the expectations for that day, expectations about conversation. You can't script it all, but you certainly can tilt things in the direction to make sure everyone has a positive and a good experience.
Sure. And what advice do you have in terms of the do's and the don'ts of having the tough conversations? And let's start with the do's first.
Well, I would say being respectful, and that seems kind of obvious, but sometimes uh, people get really comfortable with each other, and family members and close friends that you're with. It's easy for things to become to get to where they're not very respectful of each other. This can especially happen when alcohol is involved, and alcohol can be a wonderful part of your celebration, very festive. But you should always be mindful of your own tipping point, and others' tipping points when when you have just too much, where it can become something that detracts from the festive nature. You should talk, as I said earlier, about expectations, making sure that everyone is very much on the same page, and do have a game plan. Have a game plan of what to do, as we talked about earlier, if someone is particularly emotional or angry or frustrated, or if your own feelings become overwhelming for whatever reason. Have a game plan and a strategy of what to do.
And let's move into the don'ts.
Well, you don't want to escalate. So, if someone says something that's either off color or upsetting or even offensive to you, our tendency is to quickly either defend ourselves or respond. But you really don't want to go down that particular path. So if you respond, it's just going to escalate. So you don't want to do that, and you also don't want to do any piling on, meaning start to enlisting other family members or friends around the table to either attack or respond to that one comment or one person who has said something that's someone off color. You don't want to have unrealistic expectations going into the holiday. So again, if there have been some particular issues or struggles within the family, be realistic about what you can expect from having a gathering like this. I think sometimes where people get very disappointed is that they have very unrealistic expectations going into a holiday, and that can make it very disappointing.
All right, and just kind of wrapping it up here, what are the signs to look for that a loved one may need to talk with a professional, that it might not just be stress or emotions related to the holidays, but it could be
Mhm.
something so much more?
Sure, sure. If you see someone around the table that you know well, whose behavior is just very different than how they typically are. So if someone who is generally very outgoing and gregarious is very withdrawn and to themselves, you see someone who rarely ever participates in drinking alcohol very much, who's drinking quite a bit. Someone who's just really withdrawn, or at the other extreme, expressing a great deal of anger or hostility. Again, if it's way out of the ordinary for how that person generally is, that is an opportunity to really kind of pull them inside and maybe make a comment that you recognize that the behavior seems very, very different, and invite them to share with you what might be going on. And if it's something that feels like it's beyond uh, something you can manage within the realms of your relationship, that's when you would want to seek out help. These are really, I say this, I've been saying this since 2020, or the pre-pandemic, very stressful times. And it seems like in the last several years, things continue to become more stressful. There's a lot going on in the world right now that's very divisive. There are a lot of things that are happening in politics that continue to be extremely divisive. And then you've got social media, which has become a lot of a platform for lots of hateful types of speech and divisive and speech and misinformation. So there's a lot of stress there. We want to be able to make Thanksgiving as joyful and a positive experience as we possibly can. And there are things that we can do to help set the stage for that.
Yeah, that's why this conversation is so important. So thank you so much for your time. And of course, if you missed this conversation, you can find it on our YouTube page. Let's